Did you know that you could get freckles tattooed on your face? It's called faux freckles, and although permanent makeup is nothing new, normally when we think of cosmetic tattooing, we think of eyebrows, microblading, lip blush, and maybe eyeliner. But now there's a new trend. It's that sun-kissed look without the sun damage. In this video, I'm gonna perform a faux freckle procedure outlining the tools I use, pigments, and proper technique in order to perform this faux freckle service. If you're new to my channel and don't know who I am, my name is Christy and I'm the owner of Boss Brows. I've been in the beauty industry for 9 years now, specializing in microblading and microblading training. This channel is all about sharing my tips and tricks and business experience so that you can become a badass PMU artist. So if this sounds like something for you, make sure to hit that subscribe button because I come out new videos every Tuesday. Although I've noticed that faux freckles have had a little bit of controversy on Instagram and other social media platforms, I think that they're just adorable, and if they're executed properly, they look super cute. First, I want to review the tools that we're going to use in this procedure. The way I perform faux freckles is I do everything manually, which means I'm not going to use a machine. I'm actually going to use a microblading hand tool. So you will need a microblading hand tool. These I actually sell on my website. They're really nice because they're double-sided. You're also going to need 2 sizes of manual shaders. I like to use a 3-pin manual shader and a 5-pin manual shader. This way the freckles look more organic and natural. Freckles aren't supposed to be perfect. They're all different shapes and sizes. By using 2 different blades with different amounts of pins, you're gonna get that more natural, realistic effect. For the faux freckle procedure, you're gonna do your pre-draw a little differently. The tip of the mapping pencil should be pointed. This way, when you're creating your design, you can lightly tap the skin with a little dot to create where you want your freckles. I asked my client to bring in inspiration photos that are gonna show me how dense or light they want those freckles on their face. In some cases, clients may come in and they already have freckles, but they're really light and they just wanna enhance them. In this case, it makes it a little easier because you already have a template. You're just going over the freckles they already have. But if they don't have freckles and they want you to add some, definitely get an understanding if they want a lot of freckles or a little bit of freckles. My pro tip to you is to always start off small. You can always add more down the line, but if you put too much on the face and they don't like it, you can't really undo it.
Yes.
Yeah?
I like that.
Perfect. Once your client has approved the pre-draw, it's time to pick pigments. I like to stick to the warmer pigments, such as Tina Davies I Heart Ink in medium brown or blonde. Unlike other permanent makeup procedures, you don't numb before you start your first pass. This may be a little uncomfortable for the client, so I like to tell my client that they may feel a slight stinging or the same sensation you feel when you pop a pimple. I like to flick my tool around 8 times on that first pass. Make sure you're not jabbing the needle into your client's face. It should be a soft tap or pump of the tool. If you're doing it correctly, you'll hear a flick sound. So pretty much from here, I'm just going over all of my pre-drawn little freckles, and I'm pumping my tool anywhere from 8 to 10 times, getting that pigment into the skin. Now, if someone has thicker skin, you may need to flick that tool a few more times, but it's always good to sit and see how saturated the pigment is before overdoing it. If you're working with a blank canvas, I would stick to the nose and cheek area when you're creating these faux freckles. Just remember that you want it to look as organic and natural as possible. Freckles shouldn't be perfect. So I added one right by her eyebrow and I added one by her lip, and it looked super cute. One thing I've noticed about other freckles that I've seen on Instagram that don't look as natural is when the freckles are just too perfectly and evenly spaced apart. Real freckles don't know symmetry.
they may be super close and clustered together, and then there may be no freckles at all. And then you might see some other freckles that are just scattered all over the cheek. I guess what I'm saying is just make sure they're not too perfect. After you finish that first pass, wipe that pigment off and then numb using your secondary anesthetic. Now you're ready for your second pass. This is the time you can go over all of your freckles, and usually when I go over my freckles for the second time, I only pump my blade about 2 to 4 times. What's important about the second pass is making sure that your freckles are deep enough and that the pigment is saturated enough. This is the time you can decorate. You may want to switch your blade from a 3-pin to a 5-pin so that you can create dimension with different size freckles. Or you may want to even go over those freckles if you used a 3-pin, now with a 5-pin. This is totally up to you as the artist, but me personally, I like to add different size freckles, some that are a little smaller and some that are a little larger. Once you've completed the procedure, you want to clean the area with green soap. Then go over aftercare with your client. What I would recommend is telling your client to clean the area morning and night with a gentle antibacterial soap. Personally, I like Cetaphil. The freckles healing process is very similar to microblading in the sense that it's going to take about 10 days to scab over and for those scabs to fall off. In that time, you don't want to put makeup over the freckles. You want to keep them dry or as dry as possible. And if they do get wet, just pat them dry. You also want to avoid putting your face lotion on them because of the oils. Avoiding the use of lotion on the area where your freckles are is going to help keep those freckles really bright. It's important you tell your client not to pick, itch, or scratch those little scabies in order to achieve good pigment retention.